everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we're talking about having that first time all over again. So my last solo episode, I was telling you about what was going on in my businesses, and we were preparing a launch, and everything should have been going according to plan, right? I was sitting there hoping and praying and hoping everybody does their assigned duties. And it turned out things didn't go according to plan. Some people didn't do their assigned duties, and the whole strategy that I had developed didn't work out. But that's okay. In fact, I consider the whole situation a raging success because of what I was able to learn from that launch. And something that I think people misunderstand about business is that a lot of people think that I get this one shot. I got to go big. And if it doesn't work out, the whole thing's a failure and pack it up. It's all done. But that's not really how business works. Almost every business that you have ever interacted with, if they didn't start completely small and they just kind of built themselves up over years and years and decades, if they went for a launch, most likely the first launch, absolutely nothing happened. Like it's actually really rare for launches to be this big thing that actually takes the first time. In fact, no one cares usually the first time. And so what you do is you have an exercise, your persistence. You go back and you go simply, you know what? This is what we did, X. And Z, A, B, and L didn't work in X. So what do we have to do in order to fix Z, B, A, and L, right? All right, well, let's try and throw in Q, R, and S and see if when we try the next launch, we'll call it Y, the whole thing works out. And so it's just a matter of going back to the drawing board, using what worked and avoiding what didn't work. So what I was able to realize is we had some influencers that we were relying on who got a lot of traction. Other things that we were implementing didn't get any traction. So to me, that tells me, hey, don't do the things that didn't work, but continue on the path of using the things that did work. So I want to go in and I want to use these influencers a little bit more, maybe integrate them a little bit more into our branding, into our messaging, as well as doing some more marketing behind it. Really, the strategy we used was more organic, put some more paid ads into it, get more eyeballs onto it. That way we can see, even being a totally organic strategy, it was actually amazing because we got something like 1,000 viewers for our very first live ever, and like 1,000 viewers right off the bat. It's incredible, right? Like how many streamers are out there wishing that who've been doing this for years and years and years, wishing they could have gotten 100 viewers all at once on their first time out. Like, we got 1,000. So, how do we then roll that into the future? So if this time we got 1,000, how do we turn it into 2,000, 5,000, 10,000? And so there's a strategy there. It's like one big puzzle that you have. And as you do these launches or as you implement different strategies, as you reach out to different people, the picture of the puzzle on the box, right? That starts to get a little bit more clear. And so as you're putting pieces together, now you're realizing, okay, they fit a little bit better. It's not like you're doing the White Album by the Beatles as your puzzle, which, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a absolutely 100% white puzzle. There's like nothing on it. It's just white. You got to figure that out. It's like the worst puzzle on the planet to try to figure out because there's no frame of reference. It just put pieces together and hope they fit. All right. That's not what you want to do. If that's the kind of business you're trying to operate, it's not going to go well. You need a picture. And how do you get that picture? By testing, by trying things, by tweaking, by putting yourself out there and being willing to fail. All right. Monday was a raging success as far as I'm aware, even though we barely got anybody to go to our website and we didn't make any sales that day. Such is life. All right. But I learned from it huge potential because I was gathering all kinds of data. I was figuring out what types of strategies were working, how people were flowing through a system. Great information. Now I can go and I can use that information and leverage it. So if you're sitting there and you are like, I tried to do this thing and it just didn't work out. Okay, so what? Things don't work out. They don't work out this time. They may not work out next time. They may not work out the time after that. You maybe go time after time after time. But if you take everything that you learn from that quote failure, which is really not a failure unless you quit, it's more of a temporary defeat. Do not confuse temporary defeat with failure. If you take those temporary defeats and you look at them and you try to draw out of it all of the good you can and learn the lessons of all the bad and make sure you avoid that in the future, what will happen is you will eventually create something large. Like I was on the phone yesterday with a gentleman who puts on gaming conventions. I don't want to say too much about it. But he started putting on gaming conventions 10 years ago, and they were just like, hey, let's get some people into a student union at a university, and we maybe get 50 people. And they ended up getting several hundred people. And so they did it year after year after year. And every single year, they had an idea of what it was going to be based on the year before. So let's avoid what we did wrong and try to do what we did better. And so it grew and it grew and it grew. And so, after 10 years, they're expecting, 20 to 40,000 people to come to their convention. And that's a huge event, right? Like that is a ton of people over several days coming to an event with tons of exhibitors and tons of stage presentations and panels that they now have to put on. Back in the day, it may have just been a couple exhibitors and maybe some people playing some video games. Like you never know where life is going to take you. And you may look at this, man, we only got 100 people to show up to this thing. But that 100 people may turn into 500 people next time, may turn into a couple thousand the time thereafter that. You never know where it's going to go. You have to appreciate the journey. It is all about the journey that you're on. If you just think it's one shot, that's it. I only get one shot, as the Eminem song goes, right? It's not really true. He didn't get just one shot. The opportunity he had was probably once in a lifetime, but not necessarily, because he could have tried again and again and again to get back into the position if he had failed. Look, we all suck when we try stuff. Like we all suck. Nobody is perfect when they first start something. And if they are, they're a prodigy. It's one of those things that, doesn't really ever happen. It's by a fluke of luck, by a fluke of nature, right? The rest of us have to attempt and we have to try, and we've got to go through that pain of developing experience, okay? Real life, real world experience that doesn't come from killing monsters. It comes from getting the scars from trying to kill monsters, from tackling events, from putting on and putting yourself out there in a way that you've never put. And you get these scars and you callous up over them. And that is the experience, because you're going to remember, hey, I got this scar from doing this. I got this scar from doing this. I got this scar from doing this. I need to make sure I avoid those things in the future because I know how to succeed now. That's what real life experience is. And so, live that life. Be willing to put yourself out there. Be willing to put it out there, even if you don't think you're ready yet. Because, in business, your opinion means next to nothing. This is something really hard for creatives and business owners to really get through their skulls. Your opinion is basically worthless. It's the opinion of the purchasers, of the market, that matters the most. So if you are sitting there like, we need to make sure this is absolutely perfect before we start selling it, it's not true. Go put it out there, put it out in early access, do something, right? Pre-order it. Let people know that this thing exists out there. And if it falls completely flat, if your launch doesn't go anywhere, okay, figure out what needs changed. The market just told you that they're not interested in this. What needs different? Is it the concept that needs to change? Is it the presentation of the concept that needs change? Ask around. Hey, all these people who looked at it, retarget them with some ads and go, hey, you saw this thing. Can you give us some impressions of what your thoughts were? Why didn't you like it? What was wrong with it? People will be honest with you. They'll tell you, oh yeah, the graphics just didn't appeal me. Everybody's saying the graphics don't look so good. We need to retool and make it look better. Or maybe it's just you're targeting the wrong kind of people. Maybe your people are in a different part of the internet and you need to try to target them in a different way. The only way for you to figure these things out is to try. If you are sitting up there in a gilded palace where, everything has to be absolutely crystal perfect and we're not going to release anything, we're not going to put out a statement, we're not even let people know that we have an idea. And if anybody even asks us, we'll say we have an undisclosed product that no one's allowed to learn about. If that's you, you're putting yourself in jeopardy because you're not allowing yourself to have the opportunity to learn, to have the type of product you need that will sell in the future. So I'm going to remind you all, organization is the enemy of sloth. Bake into your plan opportunities for, quote, failure. Bake into your plan the opportunities for you to be embarrassed by putting this stuff out there before it's ready. Like, let people know about it. Let people give you their impressions and their opinions about it. If you do not have these things at, certain thresholds, okay, once we've completed this aspect of the project, let's start putting it out there, see what people have to say. Because if you go through the whole like year, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year process of making something, and at the end you're like, here it is, and you put in all this effort and every single cent, and you put in all your dollars for the one big media blast to let everybody know, and it comes back that nobody cares about it, you got egg on your face, and it's almost unrecoverable. But if as you're going through this journey, you're putting it out there little bits at a time, and you're able to tweak it based on what people are saying, it allows you to develop a product that is merchantable, something that people will purchase, not just what you like. Your opinion doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. It's what people want. Games come out that people are like, man, this was a sleeper hit and no one thought this was going to do anything. I love Among Us, right? Among Us was great because it actually came out like a year and a half, 2 years before it actually did anything. It went nowhere until like some people picked it up, and then they realized, hey, this is cool. And they found a way that made the game worth it to the larger audience. And that was Dr. Lupo. I watched his streaming Among Us. He called it the Streamer Drama Simulator 2020. And when Among Us became a streamer drama simulator, that's when it became the thing everybody was watching. I mean, when it became the thing everybody was watching, it became the thing everybody wanted to play because they wanted the opportunity to play with their favorite streamers, because all the smaller streamers were starting to pick it up as well, and everybody was playing it. And it sold like gangbusters. But they failed for a long time first, right? Nobody was playing it. And it wasn't until something changed, some aspect, somebody found some way to do it a little bit different, kind of in the market, that it finally turned into something real. So that's what I want to remind you all of. And as we wrap this up, I'm going to tell you again, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.